Now, we have seen everything happen to the economy in such a short period of time. Going back in time, we know that this entire economic system is one gigantic illusion created by the central banking system. Lately, we've been watching the economic system break down, and we need to understand and we need to know why this is breaking down right now. The entire plan is to get rid of the central bank and the economic system that we're in today, transition us into something completely different, which will be a people's system, something that the founding fathers actually wanted. Now, Trump has been tweeting out about China, these new trade deals, removing tariffs, and here are a couple of his tweets right now, which are very, very interesting. We are either going to have a real deal with China, and this is all capitals, real deal, or no deal at all, at which point we will be charging major tariffs against Chinese product being shipped into the United States. Ultimately, I believe we'll be making a deal either now or into the future. China does not want tariffs. Very strong signals being sent by China once they return home from their long trip, including stops from Argentina. Not to sound naive or anything, but I believe President Xi meant every word of what he said at our long and hopefully historic meeting. All subjects discussed. All subjects discussed. He's receiving very strong signals, which are being sent by China once they returned home. Now, we know that the central bankers, they have this plan of restarting the system someplace else. I do believe, and I've been saying it for a very long time, I believe that was going to be China. That's why all the manufacturing, that's why everything was moved out there. Trump today is changing all of this with Xi Jinping and Putin. Now, Trump did say that he discussed all subjects. Now, all subjects includes everything. Why are they making a deal now? I mean, just a couple of months ago, it was tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. Well, we discussed this yesterday. Trump is taking control of the narrative right now. He has control of the narrative. He's been blaming the central bank, saying they're a worse threat than China. And if the economy collapses, well, the Fed is to blame. Now, Powell is completely under the control of Trump. Whatever Trump tells him to do, the Fed is going to do it. Now, remember, the Federal Reserve, the central banks, what they normally do to bring us out of the old system, which is crashing no matter what they do, and to bring us into a new system, they destroy the system. And they make it look like it happened from some other country, some type of an event, or anything that has nothing to do with them. And they don't care how hard it comes down. Actually, they like the economy coming down really, really hard. So people get really pissed and angry at the certain country that supposedly brought down the economy. Why? Because this normally leads into a war. So they want it to come down really, really hard. Trump right now, and the Patriots and everyone that's working with him, they're going to be bringing us through this transition. This is why he spends so much time right now getting rid of these trade deals and creating new trade deals and trying to bring back as much of the manufacturing and companies as possible. Now, can he do everything all at once? No, it's completely impossible. The reason why he's working out a deal with China right now is because he's evening the playing field. They understand where we're headed. They're in agreement, and they're discussing all subjects. Remember, the Patriots, Trump, they don't want to bring the economy down in a crashing manner where it hurts a lot of people. They're going to try to make this landing as soft as possible. Now, will some people get hurt? Yeah, some people are going to get hurt. Some people are going to lose a lot. Some people might not recover. Even if they just lose a little, some people might not recover. But they're going to try to make it as soft a landing as they possibly can by controlling what the central bank does. Now remember, Normally what the central bank does is they continually raise the rates until they hit a neutral point, and then they drop the rates very, very quickly so nobody notices what is happening. I do believe that Trump is going to try to control the rates as they move up. Now, sometimes you'll see the rates not move. Other times you'll see it move. Maybe sometimes you'll see it drop. And this is all in preparation to bring us a easier type of transition. This way, we don't see the market coming down by 9,000 points. Maybe it'll only come down 4,000 points. I mean, we don't really know at this point. But what they're doing, just like with everything else, with going after the deep state, going after certain individuals, bringing them to justice, their plan is the ultimate plan, and it encompasses quite a bit. And they're not just going out there saying, okay, let's just raise the rates and destroy the economy, hurt everyone we possibly can. Yes, they are raising the rates. They are going to destroy the central bank economy, but they know there are people on the other end, and they don't want to hurt those people. Some will get hurt, like I said. I have to keep saying that. Because when you're coming out of a central bank system and moving into a completely different system, things can get a little hairy and things will not work out that well. I mean, think about 1971 when we came off the gold standard and we were moving on to the petrodollar system. And we had this period of time where people could not find jobs. There were long gas lines. In other countries, it was a lot worse. People were struggling during that period of time. There were protests and everything else. And they were bringing the petrodollar online, coming off the gold standard, and just creating currency at will. And that's why we saw a devaluation of the dollar at this time, and this is why we saw interest rates move up. And this is why we saw the appreciation in homes, in salaries, and everything like that, because it wasn't that, things are getting better. It was because it took a lot more dollars to do the exact same thing, which is called devaluation or inflation. And they try to counter this with high interest rates. And then everything balanced out back in going into the 80s. You saw interest rates drop. You saw credit expand. We're on the other end right now. We're on the end where salaries aren't really going up. They've been creating a lot of currency. Interest rates have been very, very low because they can't bring them up too high or the whole system just falls apart, as we can see with the real estate market. We're at the end stage of this entire system. And we're going to see problems in the credit market. We're going to see problems with businesses getting supplies, goods, things like that. Now, think about what Trump is doing right now with China. Making a deal, making sure that China is going to be purchasing our products. And China will also be shipping products here with a more level playing field trade agreement. Why would he do that? He needs to do this because as we move off the petrodollar system, we're going to see things start to really freeze up. We're not going to get the products like we got before, because a lot of the countries, they're going to start to dump their dollars that they hold in reserve. Remember, they take the U.S. dollars and they go ahead and they supposed to purchase our goods, but as manufacturing moved out of the United States, it became more and more difficult. So what is happening right now is Trump is trying to level the playing field with trade, because it was completely lopsided because of the petrodollar system. And as time went on, manufacturing was being moved out of the country, companies were being moved out of the country, so everything became really, really lopsided, and they were preparing for the United States to be a third world nation, because they knew eventually everything would be moved away. So this plan right now that they're pushing forward is going to change everything. Think about Russia. When all of a sudden the Soviet Union collapsed, there were bread lines, there were people that, lost a lot. The whole thing had to be rebooted. You saw this in Germany, in the Weimar Republic. Everything had to be rebooted. We will reboot. It's just that transition period that we're going to have to get through. That's going to be the difficult part. And this is why you need to be ready and prepared. And what you might see during this period, you might see the stock market fluctuating up and down. The store shelves might be bare. It might take a longer period of time to get supplies in. The dollar will continually lose value as countries dump it, which means you go to the store, maybe the loaf of bread, which is $5, $6 right now, that might move up to $8, $9, $10. I mean, people think this is crazy. It really isn't. Go back to the 70s when we came off the gold standard and there was inflation, which means the value of the dollar decreased. Think about all of a sudden salaries jumped like there was no tomorrow. Home prices jumped like there was no tomorrow. Gas prices went up. Products on the shelves went up. Everything moved up all at once. And then it leveled out for a time. And then it started to move up very, very slowly, and you really didn't see what was happening. Well, the same thing is going to happen once again. We're going to go through this transition, but during the end stage of the petrodollar, it's going to become very, very difficult to purchase goods because the dollar, there's so much of these dollars floating around. When the countries start to send them back here to the United States, they're going to be absolutely worthless. And this is why you're going to need gold, silver, supplies, medical supplies, toiletries, food, and all these different things because, you know, if you can't go out and purchase the food at that time because you don't have enough dollars, you might want to use the food that you have. Because think about it. If you have a difficult time purchasing the food today, think about if the food doubled tomorrow. That means you would have to have more of those dollars, which is going to be very, very difficult for many, many people. And this is why you need to be prepared and ready for this. But on the other side of the transition, it's going to get a whole lot better. And once the central bank is out of the picture, it's going to be incredible.